I've been spending a lot of time on my phone lately, and honestly, I gotta work on it. Like, even just having my phone next to me before bed, like when I wake up in the morning, it's just, I feel like it puts me off on the wrong foot. Does that make sense? I don't know. I love phones, and I also really hate them. It's just really difficult, and I guess that's just something I've been dealing with, which has honestly nothing to do with the episode we're talking about today, but whatever, I'm just struggling. All right. So welcome back to the podcast. We're back in our normal spot. We're going with a little pink theme behind us right now. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, but I don't know. It's kind of cute. I kind of like it. And I have the microphone stand here. I'm going to try and make sure that I can have it close, but not too much that you can't see me or anything. And yeah, so today we are talking about scheduling tips. And honestly, I feel like there's two main mistakes that I personally made and that I think the majority of people might make, or that I think, if you're having a troubled time with your schedule and it doesn't feel like you're really doing it the way that you'd like to, or you need to switch it up. I think these are two things that really are important to pay attention to. So a lot of this is just talking from personal experience. These are the two things that absolutely changed the way I look at my scheduling. And I hope that they can also change the way that you do your own scheduling. So I feel like, I don't know. I just personally, the way that you know that your schedule just doesn't feel right is, it depends on the situation, but at least for me recently, I was just back in my hometown on break, and I felt really just blah. Like, I didn't feel like I had any energy. Even this morning when I woke up, it's just this is the first day back in my dorm now that I'm recording this. And I just felt so blah. It was so hard for me to get out of bed. And then I was just dealing with so much anxiety. I was just really stressed. And first off, transitions are always hard for me. So going back and forth from place to place, that is just hard for me. That is one thing I've always known about myself. But it was especially hard today. And part of me wonders if it is because I hadn't been following my usual routine or scheduling tips and tricks that I'm going to talk about here. And so there's really just like two things, and it is scheduling, but it's really also just routine and keeping a balanced routine. So the two mistakes, number one, that I feel like people make a lot, or at least I knew that I made a lot, was you're not scheduling any time for yourself. So before, let's see, I think I probably started this around, maybe like 2020, I think around COVID time-ish. I started telling myself that after 8 p.m. I would not work on homework anymore. I wouldn't do any of that because I was struggling. It's my junior year. It was COVID year. I was online for everything. It was a struggle, and I was just always working on stuff. So I finally decided to be like, no, I'm going to schedule time for myself. And after 8 p.m., it is a hard cutoff. Like, I would email my teachers at 8:01 and be like, hey, I have a strict rule for myself that I don't work on homework after 8 p.m. I've been working on it all day long, and I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to get it in on time. And they were always usually pretty receptive with that. I was lucky. I don't know if all teachers would, but just, really knowing that. At that time, I was just first starting my routine there, so I didn't have the time management skills that I have now, because now it's rare that I actually find myself, hitting 8 p.m. and realizing, oh my gosh, this is due tomorrow and it's not done yet. Like, usually at this point, that me time is scheduled after 8 p.m. that I just know, and I will work on stuff and be like, no, for me, it's not due at midnight. The assignment, it's due at 8 p.m. Oh, give me a moment to cough here. I'm still not over this cold. Okay, we're back. Okay. And so this right here, I think the big mistake is that a lot of times people aren't scheduling time for themselves. So yeah, you might be working on stuff and then it's like, oh, hey, you have some free time. But I feel like it's really important to actually schedule time for yourself, not being around other people, at least for me as an introvert, I really need that time to myself. And I do feel like everyone should have it as well. But, this could be different for extroverts. I honestly don't know because I'm not you. I'm an ambivert, but I'm more so introverted. But it's just looking and, when you're scheduling things, to not have it scheduled as just like, oh, here's my work time and then here's my free time, or oh yeah, here's my time, to really actually have a part in your schedule that is dedicated to you. So I don't actually put it on my calendar that is my me time or anything, because I don't have a lot of things other than parties. There's not a lot of things that I feel like I have to be doing after 8 o'clock, right? Other than parties and working on homework. And working on homework, we already touched. I do not let myself work on homework past 8 unless I really, really, really want to, because I enjoy the homework I'm doing. And then parties, I am just not a party person. And, when I am, I might give myself I might say, okay, you know what, we'll skip the me time for now, but I don't know, it's just something that I don't struggle with that much there, because I just don't really like parties either way. So the majority of the time after 8 o'clock, my schedule is pretty free, and I think most people's schedule is pretty free after 8 o'clock, but then consciously dedicating that time to yourself. If you're free after 8 o'clock and you decide to go hang out with friends, okay, but also are you spending a little bit of time with yourself too? So this is just me rambling and talking here. But for me, after 8 o'clock is the time when I am closed off in my room, reading a book, making some tea, just enjoying my time, being myself, and trying not to be on my phone too much, just stuff like that. So that's the number one mistake that I feel like people make, is that they may have free time, but they don't specifically schedule time for themselves. And the second mistake that I see people make is the opposite of that, is that they have too much time to themselves. So when I say scheduling time to yourselves, I don't just mean, oh, schedule time where you don't have anything going on. No, I mean schedule time for yourself, away from distractions. That includes the phone. You guys, that includes the phone. Basically, if you're scheduling too much time for yourself, it's kind of like that procrastination type of feel thing. You're not getting stuff done, you're procrastinating, and you don't have a consistent schedule for other things. So, it's important to have the things that you need to get done scheduled, like work. That's important to have scheduled, because motivation isn't always going to get you there. Sometimes you just have to do it. So, if you have a full-time job, you have that scheduled there and you go to it, right? And if it's something where you don't have a full-time job, or you don't have a consistent schedule, making sure that you do have a consistent time scheduled for something there, because, whatever it is that you need to be getting done, whatever it is that you need to be being productive on, it's important to have that scheduled so that you're actually getting stuff done. So coming back from the break, I didn't have any sort of schedule. I didn't have anything I was needing to do. I could have been working on some podcast stuff, and I kind of was, but I didn't have any schedule at all. So I was spending just too much time for myself. And it's not saying oh, I'm spending too much time with myself, learning and growing. No, I was just sitting in bed watching TV all day long. And we all love that sometimes. We can all agree we love that. But to an extent. And so being able to have a balanced schedule where it's you have the stuff that you need to get done, you're being productive, and then you also have a little bit of free time, maybe hanging out with friends, maybe extra meetings, maybe getting extra work done, maybe just relaxing, doing your own thing. It does not matter what you do in that time frame. And then your you time. And it doesn't have to be in that order. For me, my me time is better at night. I just do better at night, doing that before bed and spending the time with myself, maybe doing some yoga, some journaling, some getting some tea, just watching a show maybe, as long as I'm not on my phone very much. And that's fine. But for other people, maybe your you time needs to be in the morning, or maybe it needs to be in the middle of the day when you're just kind of exhausted and need to regroup. Like, it doesn't matter what order these things are in. It just matters that you have a consistent amount of time where you're spending time being out and about, spending time working, using your brain, and then spending time being maybe with people, doing whatever you want, just letting yourself feel relaxed and not feel like you have anything to do. And then another time where it's like you're really working with yourself. And sometimes this can also be a little bit stressful there, because you're working with yourself and you're learning about yourself. And sometimes that is stressful. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes it is. So just having a time to dedicate to the external world and then the internal world, who you are. And I feel like that overall is just the biggest scheduling mistake that I see, or the biggest reason why I see people, other than mental health issues, because that's a whole other aspect there. But the biggest reason that I see people struggling, not getting their stuff in on time, just feeling like they don't have motivation, that's, at least for me, I know that when I'm not having motivation very much, it's probably because my schedule got off somewhere. And I know right now that's kind of how it's been. My schedule got a little bit off over the break, and I'm getting it back now, and I'm working on it, and it can be a little challenging. So what does my schedule specifically look like, just to kind of show how I have built this into my life? I'm just a morning person. I like to just wake up in the morning. It's nice. I like it. So I usually get up pretty early, around maybe 6 or 6:30. And then in the morning, I'll take it easy, take it slow. Sometimes I lay in bed for a little bit. Sometimes I get up right away. Like I said, I've been trying to not be on my phone as much, in the morning, but let's be honest, that one's a struggle for me. And then I'll get up and do some sort of stretching. Usually not a lot, usually not anything crazy, because it's the morning and I just want to get my body moving just a little bit. But every so often I will dedicate that time to do a little bit more strength work, or things like that. But I usually don't end up leaving my room. I just do it there. I'm still half asleep. Let's be honest, I'm still half asleep. And then I will get up and maybe make a cup of tea, maybe read my book a little bit, maybe check my emails, anything like that. Start getting ready for the day. It's just pretty slow in the morning, which is nice. And then my classes usually start around 9 to 9:30 most days. So I will spend that time, I'll get ready, go to my classes, and then around 9 to 9:30 to about 2:30 every day is when it's like, that's my work time, that's my productivity time. And I focus I am like my mother, where when I'm working and I'm focused. So I have no problem sitting down for a few hours and working. So I have no problem scheduling all of my classes in the morning and barely into the afternoon. That's not everyone, and that's okay. That's just how I am. And then I'll go through, that's my work time, and that is like my time to get stuff done, and I'll take a few breaks, but it's like I get everything done. Not just the getting through the classes, but even in my classes, a lot of times I'm working on other assignments. I'm getting stuff done. I'm kind of nonstop during that period of time there. And then after that is a time where it's like, okay, I have this time open. So around 2:30 to 8, I have an open time frame. And that can sometimes mean I have my Pilates class, so that I do have to go to. I do like to go to that. But it's more of a just that's for me, it doesn't feel like a class. And then otherwise I might have something like, I'm going out to dinner. I'm meeting some friends. I'm, gonna keep working on more homework or more work because I just didn't get everything done. Or I'm just gonna take a walk, go chill, do anything. That's really the time where it's like, okay, it's for me and I'm still out and about. I usually am not back in my room or anything, but I'm still out and about doing things, but it's not like crazy work focus mode anymore. And then around 8 o'clock is when I come back to the dorm. I'm usually there ahead of time, let's be honest. Especially now that it gets dark at like 5 p.m. I usually start my night routine a little bit earlier, which is kind of nice. And then I'll be back in the dorm and, I'll turn off the lights, have my cute little lights on here. Like got the pink light right here, and I've got another light back there that goes all the way up our bay windows, which I love. I love my bay windows so much. And then I just enjoy the coziness. I just chill. I'll hang out with my roommate, maybe hang out with some friends and stuff. But around 8 o'clock, it's like, okay, yeah, it's my time to just relax, do my thing, start maybe getting ready for bed, start doing some yoga, read my book, watch a few episodes of my show, different things like that, get everything, all my devices plugged in for the next day because I'll need that, and then go to bed. I like it because I feel like it has a good balance of everything, of really working and then calming down a little bit, and then, okay, it's time to get ready for bed. It's time to really focus on myself and pay attention to myself. I feel like once I really made the dedication to following these steps that I have talked about and really making sure to balance between my workload and my me time, it was really helpful. We really need to have time dedicated to being, this is me, working right now, because procrastination happens, especially in school. It's like, if you don't have a time scheduled to, this is when I'm working on my stuff, you're not going to have a great, amount of work done because you're going to get distracted and stuff. So what I do is I schedule that time, and then I schedule my me time, and the rest of it is I can do stuff with people whenever, even on the weekends. A lot of times I'll be able to get most of my stuff done during the week because I plan that time that I'm working on stuff, and I don't let myself do anything else, so that all of the rest of that time, that free time, is truly free time. I get to do whatever I want. My family's going on a trip for the weekend. Okay, I'll come with. People want to go to the farmer's market for the weekend. Okay, I'll go. I really get to just have that time to also just relax and have nothing. And that is also really important. So by scheduling your work time and scheduling your time to get to know yourself, it gets the two big parts out of the way, and it lets all the rest of that time that's opened up, that's your free time, where it doesn't matter what in the world it is that you do, because you get to just live. And I feel like that's what we miss so much when our schedules are busy, is that we don't get to live. And it's okay to say no to something. It's okay to say, no, my schedule is too busy, because you do need open slots in your schedule. You need open time in your schedule, because living is so important. That's what I've learned. Make sure to subscribe and follow along in the podcast so that you'll see the next episode.